did work for a store. Well, it was a very long time ago. And a manager said thanks to people who gave the company, their blood, sweat, and tears, as I've said. And the company gave them a mug. Let's just sit with that for a second. A little coffee mug. Thank you for all your hard work. Here's a mug. All stores and companies are different. It's not always equal. That's just my opinion. Sorry. It's discontinued. Welcome back to Sorry, It's Discontinued. I'm Hilary, your host, and I am just so glad you are here with me. I want to say thank you to all my retail family and fellow customers who have listened to my episodes and might be listening to this one. I'm really excited to get into this kind of meat and potatoes of retail and working behind the counter. If you're like me and you've been doing it for so long, morning meetings are almost sometimes like the bane of my existence. They're very challenging and they're supposed to be inspiring, and a lot of times they're not. So I really want to get into today's topic, which is just the daily morning meetings that most stores, and I know a lot of companies have them, but most stores will have them because they want to go over all of the details and events and things that are happening in the stores. So retail mornings, it doesn't start just when the doors open. It's when you come in, you clock in, you're rushing. And of course, I have a lot of friends who weren't rushing. They were always early. I was usually rushing. You go and you put your lunch away, drop it off at the break room, but you have to go and attend these morning meetings, which most of the time they're mandatory. Everybody has to go. And if you're lucky, they're in a department where you have chairs or a couch where you can sit and relax, because getting to work has been crazy and very stressful. So if you're really lucky and you've shuffled into one of these meetings, there's coffee. Oh, it's so magical when there's coffee. It just makes your heart just warm up a little bit. And you're like, oh, it's okay. I can do a team morning meeting. I'm fine. But a lot of times they're dreadful, they're boring, and you might even get a random pop quiz. Might get called on in front of everyone, and it feels like you're held against your will. You're in detention, and most of the time you haven't had your coffee yet, or maybe you forgot it that morning. So I've been to hundreds of these meetings. I have so many different perspectives. And the irony is the intention is really good, but the execution that they are intending, it often misses, And correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of times in these meetings, your eyes glaze over. You leave feeling more exhausted than when you got there, because everybody is just living life. They've got so much going on. So let's start with the managers who host the morning meetings. Okay, so most of the time you're getting managers that are like hyping up the team. Boo, boo, boo. Yay, everybody. You can do it. And they're so loud, and there's music, which I love music. I listen to music all the time. But in the morning, when I'm literally trying to adjust and think about all the things that I've got to do, this customer needs this client needs this, I've got to make over it too. And then the music, and it's like a dance club. Maybe it's because I'm fit, but I like to kind of ease into it with maybe a low, calm kind of manager-esque setting. But a lot of times you just want to run in the corner and just play the quiet game. Like, oh my God, it's so loud. But there is some managers who choose really good music for a morning meeting, like your Aretha Franklin, little Miles Davis. But then, okay, so on the opposite end, you have managers who literally are there just to do their job, collect their paycheck, share the information with you. But God forbid if you ask them about what they were talking about later or even ask them for help. They're like, or I'll get back to you. And of course they don't because they really could give a shit. Or they just look at you and ignore you and then they just walk away. It's happened to me. Another thing that is really challenging with these morning meetings, it's okay. I'm going to bitch at the beginning, but I am going to end this morning meeting episode with some positives. But I just want to talk about what we think about in retail. All these associates, we're all feeling it because of the burnout. It's so real. Morning meetings, in my opinion, ego leads a meeting more often than not. So, okay, ego versus empathy. I've been to numerous meetings when a manager would really dominate the morning meeting with high enthusiasm, but no recognition of the people they were speaking to. Like they really didn't know anybody. One of my good friends actually told me how a store manager that they had worked for never said her name correctly and never asked her how she was doing. But anytime she would even like walk by or he was close by, he would just ask her about her appointments. He just wanted to know what she was doing in her job. There was no genuine interest in her whatsoever, except what she did for her job that day. And she was a longtime employee. I mean, how fucking sad, right? Just check the ego at the door. Managers who don't make eye contact, no names are remembered. It's just demands. What are you going to do for me? Or how about the managers, which there have been some that were fun, but more often than not, the managers who do the pop quiz, cold calling on staff to see if they're up to date on events or goal statistics. And it's more disciplinary instead of motivating. Oh my gosh. And then you're just like, oh my God, don't call on me. I haven't even looked at my email yet. Because by the time you have to clock in, walk to wherever the meeting is, and drop off your lunch, because technically you're only supposed to get there when your time starts, right? But they have the meeting literally like right after you're supposed to get there. So that in itself is, time and attendance, the time clock. The time clock. Anyway, so the result, more often than not, with these ego-led meetings is silent resentment from the team. And respect, it goes both ways, right? When you look at the people in the room and you think, how can I help? How can I inspire? And not try to control every little thing and the microaggressions, the micromanaging. Dr. Wayne Dyer, he did say ego is just another word. It stands for edging God out. How can I serve? Now that's an amazing leader, right? Someone who asks, how can I help? How can I serve? So we do need to talk about why do we have these morning meetings, right? Because I know that we have to have them. I'm not oblivious to the fact that they are definitely essential. We need to know what's going on. So first off, communication, updates. I get it. You've got to know what's going on with the company changes, HR stuff, benefits. Now keep in mind, HR departments. These stores have had HR departments that have been taken away over the last few years. And so you're not getting an HR expert, in my opinion, not like before. But I will say I did meet a few amazing HR reps in my years, and they were so helpful. Second, we have these morning meetings, accountability. People held accountable for their goals. We have to go over the numbers. We have to go over the store's numbers. How is the store doing in comparison to other states, other competitors? We have to know. And it is it can be kind of motivating. Like, oh, yeah, we're kicking their butt. What? We're doing amazing. That's fun. Where's the store at? And what is each department doing? And yes, what is your line doing? That can be so fun when you're at the top of the list. You've just had an amazing event and you're so excited and you're so proud because you worked your ass off. But the worst is when you're on the shit list. Your freaking line gets called out because you're on the shit list and you didn't do well. It's like, bleh. But, you're only as good as your next event, right? So it's fine. It's understandable. But yes, goals, numbers, super important. I mean, it's why we have our freaking jobs in the first place, why we get to keep our jobs. But if you've listened to my previous episodes, time and time again, my colleagues and friends have said over and over, it's not the number. It's not motivating. It's not helpful. And over time, they just stop thinking about the number. If it's a motivational tool for you, then it can be helpful, but you can't obsess. I know that's easy to say when you're in retail and you have these crazy goals. Okay, so during a meeting, I love it when they highlight people who've made event goals and the departments that are doing well. And my favorite is Employee of the Year, Employee of the Month, and all of that goodness. Like, yes, please. I'm a big fan. I love a shout out. And I know as a team, we all love it. We love it when our friends get acknowledged. You've seen them working their asses off, and the store recognizes it. The management team recognizes it, and they've seen them working so hard over and over. And when they get recognized, their faces light up. It's magical. And I've always appreciated that, especially when it's not being played favorites and it's not just in the selling aspect or, in the selling departments, but it's also alterations, back of the house, loss prevention. Everybody who's working in the store deserves recognition. That is my favorite. I do want to recognize, and I think in a future episode, I want to highlight the people that have worked in these stores that were lifers. But getting back to the store, recognizing these people and having these moments, you think, wow, okay. You forget about the stress. You forget about all of the goals and all the crazy, system bullshit. You're like, I work for a great company. They really care about people. Okay, well, then you do hear the story, which there are the other sides. I did work for a store for it was a very long time ago. And a manager said thanks to people who gave the company, their blood, sweat, and tears, as I've said. And the company gave them a mug. Let's just sit with that for a second. A little coffee mug. Thank you for all your hard work. Here's a mug. Used to be like they would really kind of spoil people. I don't really know what they're doing now. It changes. And of course, budget cuts or whatever in the stores and the companies, and all stores and companies are different. It's not always equal. Okay, so seeing someone picked on who hasn't made their goal and getting picked on in front of people, it's so cringy. Oh, I just hate it. And it's happened to me. Hilary, why didn't you make your goal? What's going on? You have work to do, don't you? Listen, it's not like I didn't want to make my goal. It would definitely keep you off my ass, for one thing. But I just didn't make it. Plus, the event we had 2 weeks ago totally kicked my ass. I'm really cussing a lot in this episode. I guess I'm just trying to be totally myself and let loose a little bit. But when you're called out for not making your goal in front of a bunch of people, it's not motivating. Okay, how about saying, I appreciate your hard work? It's okay. Just keep doing the best you can. Let me know if I can help. That said, I know managers have a lot on their plates. Honestly, they have so much going on. There's been so many things that they have cut in companies over the last few years slowly. I mean, the customer service is like gone and the HR is limited. And so managers are really doing it all. They have a fucking lot on their plate. And that is a whole other episode, and we will definitely get into it. I really want to talk about managers and all the shit that they have to deal with and highlight how unfair it is on them. I know it's a delicate balance of managing people's feelings and expectations when you literally have a $100,000 goal for one day in front of you. And as a manager, you're looking at your employees and you've got all of this pressure. You have meetings back to back. You have to meet with this one vendor. This one counter is fighting. And then David over here just could really give a shit and hasn't done anything for his goal. I know it isn't black and white. And I know so many managers that are amazing and they do try and they're really good at their job and I appreciate them. Another reason for meetings: motivation, yay, go team, and company culture. So highlighting all of the wonderful things the company does for its employees. And they highlight all these amazing things because they want everyone to work in a happy and healthy and mentally supported work culture, at least for that 30 minutes in the morning meeting while they're in the meeting. And they're highlighting that for corporate, and they can take a picture and say, like, what? We're doing our job. And then they can post it on the company site or whatever. And they did their job. Motivation and the positive work culture focus, it should stay on the floor forever and not just disappear with the visual the next day. Mental Health Awareness Day or the month, it should be consistent. What do you guys think? Okay, so retail family, am I being harsh? How would they even really implement this? But keeping those positive company motivations and that company culture and mental health awareness, it should be consistent. Just really highlighting mental health and positive work culture and it being an everyday consistency and not a mandatory module you have to watch like every 6 months or every 12 months. Okay, so morning meeting, highlighting sales, promotions, and events. You get great information. I've really appreciated managers who've broken down the point events and how that works with customers' credit cards because the math can be kind of confusing. I've always loved that and getting those bits and pieces, but where it's an educational training and just kind of a team support situation as opposed to you should know this into some sort of shaming fest. I also can understand, creating buzz for big brand events, especially when you're having these events in your departments. But a lot of times I really think it's a mismatch of our sales priorities and everybody is under so much stress, right? So say I have a $12,000 goal in my line or in my department, right? And this is my focus. And I'm down, I'm struggling. And we are being asked to push a suit event in the morning meeting, right? Like, why am I focusing on this? So the company culture for most companies and stores is they want everyone to be a style advisor, but that can sometimes really bite you in more than it helps you. But let's break this down because this is my opinion. I have worked mainly in beauty most of my career. I mean, I worked in juniors in different areas, but mainly beauty. And okay, so say there's a brand morning meeting in men's suits to bring our clients and partner up with our friend, colleague. We partner with them, but we'll get the sale. So we're going to partner with them, taking our customer, and it's going to be a magical moment. Sounds beautiful, right? No, not really. What about my personal beauty goal? Okay, so set that aside because I know I have to focus on that today. Thankfully, my amazing client wants me to take them to suiting. How great is that? So I'm going to leave my counter. I'm going to take my client Mr. Man over here, we're going to go to my friend and colleague in suits, who probably has appointments since it's an event, but they need to walk me through how to sell a suit. I could ask the department manager, but they've got a lot going on because they have customer service issues, and my client is in a hurry. So they want me to partner up with my colleague, Mr. Super Cool Ambassador over here. What do you think I'm going to do? Am I going to introduce my client to my sales friend in suits so they can get the commission since they'll be doing most of the work anyway? And they're trying to help me. So how is that going to help me help my client and help them? And okay, so say we split it. But I'm literally just kind of standing there and just like, what do you want me to do? I'll go find the tie. I can go find the tie 50 minutes later because I don't know where the tie is and then the thing. No. And what about the customer service aspect of this for Mr. Man client here? He's getting the shit end of the stick if he sticks with me. I'm not trained in suiting. And my friend ambassador over here is really just trying to help. But at the same time, they're stressed. They don't have time for this because they are on commission, strictly commission. So you can bring up the point. Yes, I could take the time. I can learn. I can help the client. It is my job. I'm in sales. But wait, I'm not strictly on commission like my friend sales advisor ambassador over here. So I personally think that's not fair. The disconnect of going to a suiting meeting. So yes, to learn what they do, but don't expect me to become a suiting expert and all of a sudden add it to my list of specialties. It's not realistic. Forget it. So instead of every one person should sell everything, is that realistic? I think it should be partner up, sell it together, like a team. There's no I in team, as my grandma told me. So when we do it together, especially for these brand events, so yes, maybe I can pull a few things. I can help my friend who is going to sell the suit, and I connect them to my client. But if I'm doing the best customer service for my customer and for my friend as a good colleague, I let them take over and show the suit, sell the suit, do the fitting, and maybe I help with the bits and pieces that I am more knowledgeable with. And we partner in that way. So now stock. Okay, so these brand events and a morning meeting, even with the stock issues, it's gotten so much worse in the last few years. And with all the companies changing and struggling with stock, they are just struggling with stock a lot of times. Not all stores, not all companies, but it is a real challenge for my retail family. And they have to try to highlight the brand launch. They're hosting a morning meeting, but they've really got to keep an eye on what the store really will actually get or what they can really order for their clients so they don't get them excited for nothing. These launches and morning meetings can be hyped without enough product because they're corporate events and they have to continue as if everything is fine. And do you think the goal is adjusted based off of the actual stock we have? Oh, wait, did I say it? No. I just shook my head. Nope. Sell what you have is the dreaded response. Yeah, I know, but just sell what you have. So clients are excited about these launches or even trunk shows or what have you, but you only have one size or one color left. And I know a lot of my retail family have shared that this frustration happens more than once. And when you're on commission, it messes with your money and it messes with your mental health a lot. Because can you imagine you're telling your best customer and you're inviting them to an event and you're giving them essentially like a menu, and you're saying, "Oh, yeah, sorry, we're out of all of that." It just can be such a disconnect. And my heart hurts for my friends who have to deal with that a lot in shoes, or a lot of times in clothing, women's clothing, jewelry, and even in men's clothing too. It depends on the brand. A lot of times you can order straight from the brand, and that can be helpful, but it's not always accurate on the stock. So it's just stock, honestly, is probably a whole other episode. I mean, we could just keep going, right, retail family? There is just so much to talk about. Okay, so staff perspective, our perspective, basically. The love it and hate it reality of why we often don't like these meetings. A lot of times it just feels like a waste of time. You know, you've got clients, you've got fittings, you feel like it's just putting you behind. You've got so much you've got to do, especially if you're in an event and you've got to ring pre-sale or what have you. Or what if you're in beauty and your line is having a spa that day? Your spa room isn't done. Your esthetician is late. You have clients coming in. Stock is missing. And there's managers who still expect you to attend the meeting. Mandatory. Have to go. So the stress of rushing, being late, and then add in a huge city, traffic, associates, we get so stressed out. And you haven't even started your day. I don't even know what's happened at your house, what's going on in your life in the morning. You've got so much happening with your family, physically, mentally. A lot of times that leads to being habitually late. I actually fell in this category. There were so many times when I was just so tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I was up late with the kids. And I know you don't have to be a mom to be tired and busy. We all have life that we're just life in, right? But I know in those situations, I come to work and I'm just exhausted. Job stress, family obligations. So managers, you just really hope that they would be understanding. But I would hear managers say, maybe you shouldn't work here in front of people, calling out people for being late instead of just taking the person aside and asking, like, hey, I know you've been late a few times. Are you doing okay? Can I help with anything? Like a private check-in, being empathetic. So, tardy policies, too, when it comes to these meetings. You're rushing to get to a meeting, and it can really just cause extra anxiety and add more exhaustion to already an exhausted and burnout staff. And I feel like all of us deserve a little bit of humanity when it comes to these meetings. So, of course, business, you need accountability, but people just deserve empathy. People are just surviving. So I would hope more managers would give a pass if there's things going on, such as events and so on. Now, I do want to highlight when these morning meetings are just magical. And I've been to many that were magical. They create buzz for brand events. Brands have them and you get goodies and maybe like little treats, and you get to smell the new fragrance that's coming in a month, or you get to hear about like extra commission and all this fun stuff. But the best, especially when I first started working in luxury retail, I loved it so much. It was the fantasy meetings where you'd go to the couture trunk shows, and instead of like reading about it in a magazine, being in a morning meeting when they would have a couture trunk show, it felt like stepping into Vogue, with brands like Alexander McQueen and Oscar de la Renta and Alaya and YSL. And oh, it was just so pretty. And then the brands would have models, they walk and show these beautiful pieces. And you could touch the fabrics and the embroidery and all the handwork, the artistry. It's just so beautiful. They don't have them as often anymore, sadly, but I just loved it. And they would have breakfast and pastries and coffee. You just felt like you were a part of something just so special. And that energy, it really inspired everybody and the staff. You'd be so excited to tell your customer about all these exciting pieces that were coming. Those are the best morning meetings when you feel like you're a part of a community, you're working for people who care about you. I know it's a business, but when you're there all the time, it is personal. Now, before we go, I want to share a story about a meeting I had years ago. I was working in a store that a store manager wanted to have a coffee morning meeting. And they would do this often where they would invite, like 12 people from the store and have like a coffee talk. And like usual, I was running late and it was actually my birthday. I didn't want to be late because the store manager was leading this meeting and I wanted to, of course, make an impression and be like, oh, there's the girl and doesn't really care, but the kids were little and it was just a crazy morning. And it was my birthday. The store manager for the coffee talk meeting had gotten a birthday cake. So when I walked in the room, I was kind of frazzled and, everybody was there already. And I sat down and I see the birthday cake and he was so excited. He was like, everybody should have cake on their birthday. And this is just an excuse for me to have cake with my coffee because cake and coffee is amazing. And it was so silly. That little small kindness, it really it made me want to be a part of that company and work even harder. I appreciated that so much. I love meetings like that with that little bit of humanity, the empathy, leave your ego at the door, connect. We're all in it to win it, right? So I know morning meetings can either drain you or light you up. Give me croissants and couture and maybe even a birthday cake, and I'll always show up. So I want to hear from my retail family. Morning meetings, what do you guys think? Good experiences? Have you had good, bad? Let me know. Go to sorryitsdiscontinued.com. I really want to hear your stories. Let's build this community. Let's talk about it. So until next time, bye. Thank you so much for spending time with me behind the counter today. If you enjoyed this episode, follow Sorry It's Discontinued on your favorite podcast app and leave a quick rating or review. It really helps our retail family and fellow customers find the show. You can also connect with me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Sorry It's Discontinued. And if you have your own behind-the-counter story, a discontinued product heartbreak, or a beauty or retail industry confession, send it my way. Your story, it might be featured in a future episode. You can send me a message at sorryitsdiscontinued.com. Now, this podcast, it's independently produced and is not affiliated with any brands or companies mentioned. All stories and opinions shared are personal, reflecting the real-life experiences of those who've worked in this industry with heart and hustle. Thank you for being here. And remember, as cheesy as it sounds, a smile can really brighten someone's day. Honestly, whether you're behind the counter or shopping in front of it. Okay, see you next time. Bye. Sorry. It's discontinued.